Hello, everyone. Good morning, and welcome back to the latest edition of the Morning Bulletin here on the Blood Red channel. I'm your host, Edward Kay. Joining me this morning is Ben Bocsak, and we're going to start with probably the most concrete bit of news we've actually had out of Liverpool in the last week, apart from transfer rumours and everything else. Luis Diaz changing his shirt number from the number 23 to the number 7, announcing that I think they said he's going to personally exchange anyone who's bought Luis Diaz 23 shirt for the new upcoming season already, and I was going to change it to a 7. Unfortunately, it does not cover my Luis Diaz 23, which I bought last year, but we'll just keep that one as a nice retro reminder of his first number at the club. I mean, obviously, number 7, Ben, an iconic number at Liverpool. Do you think it might bring any pressure with it onto Diaz?
I don't think so. I think, he's already shown so much at Liverpool. I would say he's probably a fan favorite just because when he plays, he gets you off the edge of your seat. He gets you excited. He's got that dribbling ability that not the rest of the Liverpool team don't have as much. He's got that explosiveness. He works really hard. I don't know. I think he kind of suits number 7 as well. I always thought, James Milner's been here for a while now, and for all those years, it was kind of strange to see him in the number 7 shirt. I always feel like the 7 belongs to probably the most exciting player on the team. We've seen Suarez wear it. Obviously, Kenny Dalglish famously wore it. So I always think that 7 is a sort of magical number that belongs to the magician of the team. And I think Diaz fits into that. And yeah, I think it's kind of like the perfect fit almost.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think of the players who would have maybe been looking for a number change and of the numbers that were available, I think Diaz and 7, it just makes the most sense, doesn't it, really? But, I mean, equally iconic shirt, the number 8, obviously Naby Keita's vacated that one. We've not got a number 9 either now. Firmino's gone. Are you expecting those to be taken before the start of the season? And if you are, do you think, I think we're not really expecting a forward to come in, are we? So we'd imagine it will be an existing forward getting the number 9. But in terms of that number 8 shirt, do you think that could maybe be reserved for an incoming player?
Well, it was almost taken by McAllister. I think he gave a recent interview and said he considered it, but because of the history of it, he decided to pick the number 10 instead. So it could have already been taken. I mean, obviously, given that we're expecting at least 1, maybe 2 more midfield arrivals, there is the possibility, but it also seems to be a shirt that, Naby Keita took on and he was very confident in following in Gerrard's footsteps, didn't quite get there. So maybe some players who are a bit superstitious might be put off by it as well. And obviously, because we're expecting these players to be quite young who come in, even Thuram, who's maybe on the older end of the kind of players Liverpool are targeting. He's only in his early 20s. So I can't really see either of, Thuram or whoever else comes in picking the number 8. I think they'll play it safe, and now there's the number 23 available, and there's some other bigger numbers as well that they can choose from, and I think that's what they'll do.
Yeah, I just wanted to stay on Diaz for just a moment longer. Obviously, I mean, his first season he came in January, so obviously he was never going to play a full season. But he was out for so long last season. He's still not really got a full Liverpool season under his belt, has he, Ben? I mean, are you expecting to see him kick on? Maybe kick on is not the right word because he was probably Liverpool's best player before he got injured back against Arsenal. I think it was October last year. But yeah, are you expecting to sort of see him have a bit of a bigger influence on the side this season and hopefully play the full season?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, even when he came back, you saw him. I think Liverpool improved as soon as he came back, and I expect him, to be fully fit now this season, and I expect him to have a big campaign. I know it's a cliche saying he's almost like a new signing, but he will be because Liverpool missed him a lot, I think, at parts last season when they were struggling. There were moments when I think having Diaz, who's a bit more direct, who can get out of tight spaces as much as he's got the speed. He is someone who can dribble through tight spaces, low defensive blocks. having him and also his kind of shooting ability, which I think is underrated. He can strike from distance. Having him against teams that are sitting deep and are difficult to break down for Liverpool is going to be crucial, and I think Liverpool missed that a lot.
Yeah, we'll move on to the other bit of news we're going to discuss today. Kephren Thuram, we've spoken about him. I mean, I can't even count how many times now on these morning streams over the past few weeks. I think we knew that nothing was really going to happen with his transfer until after the Under-21 European Championships are finished. But now looks like Liverpool might have taken a bit of a blow because supposedly OGC Nice have decided that they might want to keep him for another season. How big of a blow would that be to Liverpool's summer plans, do you think, Ben?
Obviously, it would be a blow because he seems like the biggest target for Liverpool at the moment, or the one that we know about the most. But again, I feel like, the reports are not from credible sources yet. So I am optimistic. Fabrizio Romano, I think, tweeted this morning that despite Liverpool's interest in Romeo Lavia, they're still very much ongoing talks with Thuram, and there is a possibility that he arrives. Nothing has changed in that regard. I think the reason why things have slowed down a little bit is because Liverpool probably saw we're not going to get him before the Under-21 Euros, and then the Under-21 Euros, there's a risk of Thuram being injured, and then obviously committed a lot of money to sign a player who then might not be available for the start of the season, and who knows, he could get a really serious injury and be out for an entire year or almost. So I think I can see Liverpool's reticence at the moment. I think if anything will happen, it will happen after the tournament, because Liverpool don't want to be in another Naby Keita situation or another Arthur Melo situation even, who came in, played a few minutes and then got injured and was never seen again. So I think Liverpool are rightfully cautious and taking their time, and obviously as fans that can be frustrating because we want to see new players straight away, and the window has been open for almost 2 weeks now. So yeah, we want new signings, but it's the right approach. I think the cautiousness is needed in these times.
Yeah, interesting that you mentioned Naby Keita there, because obviously if Nice decide they want to keep him another year, obviously we all know how the Naby Keita deal worked out. Liverpool fans had to wait a whole year while he played another season at Leipzig before we got hold of him, and then obviously it never really worked out. Do you think Liverpool would sort of be put off by their history with that kind of transfer, or do you think maybe they'd just be happy to wait until next summer? Maybe only get 2 midfielders in this summer, or do you think that they really need to go for it and get 3 in this summer?
Yeah, I don't think they would wait. I think they would go for other targets. I think, they've already been waiting for Jude Bellingham, which never worked out. So they can't afford another summer of, we'll sort this problem out next year. They need to sort and address the midfield problem now. And, if the Thuram deal does become impossible, then I think Liverpool will move on and find other targets, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of young midfielders who fit the kind of profile that Liverpool need, that are available for decent prices as well. We're not talking about extortionate fees like the Bellingham one. And I think, Thuram, at the end of the day, he's a great player, but there are other players like him. And if Liverpool do decide that that deal is impossible for them, then there's other options.
Oh, well, yeah, we certainly know there are other options, because we've spent all our mornings discussing them, haven't we? Like you say, Romeo Lavia, Manu Kone. If Liverpool weren't going to get Thuram in specifically, and they were still looking for that kind of profile of midfielder, where do you think they might go next?
It's interesting because obviously Thuram plays left-sided midfield role, but McAllister also likes to play in the left-sided midfield role. We've seen Curtis Jones play in that role quite well. Thiago also likes to play there. So for me, I think the priority for Liverpool should be a right-sided midfielder, someone who can play in the right-sided midfield role. And obviously the other priority should be a holding midfielder, which again Thuram doesn't necessarily fit into. Manu Kone is a sort of different profile who might be a better solution for that. So for me, in terms of the names you mentioned, I'd probably be in favour of, going for Kone, who can play as a 6 potentially. Hasn't really done it in not a double pivot, but he can do it in a double pivot. And he can also play a bit further up the pitch. He's got the ball carrying abilities to play potentially as a number 8. So I think I'd go for Kone. Different profile, but addresses an equally important need in the Liverpool midfield.
Yeah, he certainly seems to be a popular choice in the comments and on Twitter. Him and Thuram sort of the two main names on everyone's lips after the McAllister signing. But remains to be seen whether they'll get one of, or if not both, who knows. But that is all we've got time for here on the Morning Bulletin today. So Ben, thanks for joining me, and we'll catch you next time.